Football today has truly become a global phenomenon, with the sport becoming a part of the daily lives of millions of people around the world at some level. While the World Cup might witness only 32 of the best teams around the world compete for glory, it doesn't mean that the chasing pack is out of good players, or that they aren't doing well. It is simply because the best we can do is have a 32-team tournament so that only the crème de la crème gets a chance at winning a coveted trophy. Those teams that usually miss out on a World Cup spot and are in the top 50 or even 60 of the FIFA rankings aren't bad at all and actually boast some really great players. There was a time when Manchester United great Ryan Giggs was winning everything at club level, but due to the fact that he represented Wales at the international level, never got a chance to play in the World Cup. It was the same for Liverpool's Ian Rush. Bernd Schuster of Germany never managed to play in a World Cup even though he starred for Barcelona and Real Madrid in a trophy-laden career. Similarly, Eric Cantona never managed to play in the World Cup and neither did George Best. Alfredo Di Stefano was considered the best ever by Pelé, and even though he represented Spain, Colombia and Argentina, he was never able to play in a World Cup. Now the reason behind this particular knowledge bombardment is purely to let you know that some really talented players never get a chance to play in major global competitions, and in many cases, it is just that football has become so competitive that you cannot bank on one star to do everything for the entire squad. Zlatan Ibrahimovic may be a larger-than-life figure, but the Swede was unable to help his country secure a place in the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. For the United States men's national team, USMNT, the case has always been straightforward. Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another exciting video on your favourite channel Goalside, where we like to tell you about all things football in a different way. Make sure you keep a lookout for the question of the day and get a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Today, we're going to talk about a player who represents USMNT and could be on the cusp of greatness if he's able to unlock his true potential. The American national team never really had a Pelé or a Maradona or a Johan Cruyff to single-handedly guide them towards a spot in a major tournament, but always had committed players who knew exactly how to play for one another. The early 2000s was a great evidence of that. The likes of Brad Friedel, Brian McBride, Landon Donovan, DeMarcus Beasley, Alejandro Bedoya, and others might not have been the sort of players who would make something about nothing, but with a reason behind the change in global opinion about the men's national side. Whether it was Bruce Arena in the dugout or Bob Bradley, the national side always gave a good account of themselves against the traditional powerhouses of the game and never ever looked out of ideas. So how did they manage to accomplish so much without boasting a huge star? Simple. Teamwork. The USMNTs of yesteryears have always been focused on the collective when it comes to performing on the field, and that's why they were always able to withstand all sorts of adversity that come when you play against the best. Today, however, things are changing. The national team boasts quite a few players who have the potential to become world beaters. The likes of Tyler Adams, John Brooks and Weston McKennie are really giving a good account of themselves in the German Bundesliga, while young Giovanni Reina, son of USMNT legend Claudio Reina, is already showing that he's going to be a big star for Borussia Dortmund. However, it is one player whose ability on the field is a great indicator of how far the national team will progress on more than just the sporting front. Christian Pulisic may only be 21, but it feels as if he's been with the national team for a very long time. The native of Hershey, Pennsylvania, moved to Germany at a very young age after Borussia Dortmund saw his potential and has since gone on to make headlines in the last couple of years. A move to Chelsea in the summer of 2019 made him the most expensive American player in football history. Chelsea broke the bank, $73 million, to get their hands on a player who's been dubbed as the future of North American football. A real trailblazer for Americans in Germany, Pulisic has taken his learnings from Dortmund to Chelsea, where the struggle might be real, but the young winger is clearly taking it all in. Pulisic was only 17 when he played his first competitive game in Europe, and soon after, he was thrown in the deep end, where in Germany they like to call the Revier Derby, contested between Dortmund and Schalke. The youngster played 73 minutes of the 2-2 draw, and his confidence throughout his stay on the pitch earned him many plaudits. Thomas Tuchel, his former manager, isn't an easy man to impress, but the current PSG boss admitted that the youngster had looked really good. Since then, Pulisic has not looked back and has grown from strength to strength. While down in North America, any young player showing decent potential will become a talk of the town. However, it takes global appreciation to really validate something, and it is the youngster's performances in Europe that have earned him all the plaudits he's been getting in the last 24 months or so. The US Soccer Male Athlete of the Year is mostly given out to players who've been in the game for a longer amount of time, but Pulisic's case was quite the exception, as in 2017 he won the award by scooping up 94% of the votes. No teenager has ever been given such a prestigious award before. After 19 goals and 26 assists in 127 games, Pulisic departed the Bundesliga, carrying a lifetime of experiences and paving the way for a new generation of American players trying to make a name in the hotbed of football talent. A decade ago, the likes of Clint Dempsey, Tim Howard and others paved the way for Pulisic to come and experience the glitz and glamour of football. Today, the Chelsea winger is doing that, and doing all that at a very young age. "That was the most difficult moment of my life," Pulisic told Ruhr-Nachrichten, when looking back on his arrival at Dortmund. "I had to leave my family, my friends, I couldn't speak the language at all. All that I brought with me to Germany was a dream." Now at Chelsea, Pulisic has the chance to become a truly global star American fans have been craving for a long time. Perhaps one of the main reasons why the US never really developed a true sense of affiliation with the men's soccer team was that it had always lacked a superstar. Landon Donovan was one of their greatest scorers but failed in Europe. Brian McBride was a decent striker but only cut it out for Fulham. Dempsey did well at Tottenham but didn't have the longevity. Tim Howard's move to Manchester United was hailed as a turning point, but the goalkeeper's error-ridden career at Old Trafford fizzled quickly before he left for Tottenham to rediscover his form. But in Pulisic, the country's fans have a player who can set their hearts racing by putting in amazing performances and doing so with effortless grace. Throw in the fact that he wouldn't look out of place in a rock and roll boy band, and you have a player who's becoming the heartthrob of a nation that is still trying to find its place in the global football dominion. Now Pulisic has a chance at Chelsea. The winger is at a club that is in transition on and off the field. The club's new manager Frank Lampard is banking on younger players as the Blues try to move on from the Eden Hazard days. From a purely marketing perspective, Pulisic fits the bill, and if he's able to further his development in arguably the toughest league on the planet, football viewership in North America will grow and he will become the poster boy for USMNT's renaissance. As things stand, Pulisic has scored 6 goals in 23 appearances in the Premier League for his new club. While his numbers may not command a lot of confidence, we're talking about a player who's only recently arrived to a new league and will naturally take his time to settle. However, one thing is for sure, the arrival of Pulisic at Chelsea has raised the profile of the game and raised serious question marks over how development should be done in North America. Today, many talented players from the country are trying to find their way to Europe, where they feel they would have a better chance of developing under proven ideals of coaching. Perhaps one day, this influx of American talent is going to help raise the coaching standards back home. And all this would be down to the big move Pulisic made all those years ago. After arriving in a foreign country and not knowing German, the youngster simply buckled up and soaked in everything. Owing to his ability to adapt, the winger is now being seriously considered as a potential Ballon d'Or candidate of the future. And maybe that could prove to be a bridge too far. The fact that Pulisic is now playing in one of the most demanding competitions on the planet speaks volumes of how far he's come. Playing alongside talented youngsters such as Callum Hudson-Odoi, Ross Barkley, Mason Mount and others will prove to be a challenge. Pulisic knows that he will have to fight for his place in the starting 11 even harder now that Hakim Ziyech has also been signed from Ajax. But then again, this is exactly the sort of challenge the youngster would thrive in. He may take his time to settle in and might be seen warming the bench every now and then, but when his time comes, he will be out to put in a show that gives Lampard a selection headache. For an American player, it's never easy to come to Europe and carve out his own path. Many have come and failed to shine. The likes of Oguchi Onyewu, Edu and Josie Altidore came with a lot of hype, but were unable to realise their potential. Pulisic, however, seems to be quite a different prospect. The youngster is well aware of the grind he's in for, and there will be times when his ability to cut it in the Premier League for a big team will be questioned. Time for our big question, which is quite a tough one. Which former Borussia Dortmund player became the first and to date only American to win the Champions League? Answer this in the comments and you could win a $100 Amazon gift card. At the end of the day, the youngster's ability to put his head down and focus on improving every day is what will define him. Already, Pulisic has gone through quite a tough training eye-opener when he first arrived at Borussia Dortmund. The tactical discipline he learned at the Signal Iduna Park is going to play a pivotal role in his development. Now in England, he will have to only pass one test, which would be about how mentally strong he is. If he passes that, USMNT will definitely have a truly global star on their hands. And maybe in a few years' time, we might hear about the first American male soccer star vying for a Ballon d'Or crown.